Scientists realize they screwed up, giving an old living thing super abilities. Shirogami looks down off the dock at a world of gliding monsters, and there's a point of view looking back up at him from the monster inside. Godzilla at the window, looking at the bazooka guy, is like Bella in Deep Sea 2 looking at the window. It's just that shot there. Helicopters flying in a storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same expression.
I remember that,
There's a helicopter flying in a storm. The helicopter explodes. Actually, 2 helicopters explode in this film. The Biollante in the final instance has way too many teeth. There's that shot in Deep Blue Sea of the teeth just kind of extending down from nowhere. And so here the monster comes back with more teeth. I feel like there's some kind of parallel there. In the final battle, a limb gets speared. So Godzilla gets a spear through his hand, and Carter gets one through the leg. And Godzilla, what does Mako Shark dream of in Deep Blue Sea? Godzilla just wants to go back to the sea. That's all he wants. Mm-hmm. He's a simple guy. He just wants to go back to the sea. That's all the sharks want.
He likes his naps.
He does indeed. Don't we all? Honestly. Just let Godzilla have a nap. Come on. And finally, how deep and how blue is Godzilla vs. Biollante? Nick, if I were to tell you that Deep Blue Sea is, on average, 47.5 feet deep, 31% blue, do you think Godzilla vs. Biollante is, on average, deeper and or bluer than Deep Blue Sea?
I think Godzilla is deeper. I think it's deeper.
Why do you say that?
I say it's deeper because in the very beginning of the film, which technically is from the other film, but at the beginning, Godzilla falls into a volcano. And we don't know how deep down that goes, but I'm willing to bet it goes pretty deep down.
That's true. But then, where are we for the credits of the film?
You're right. That does counteract it when we're out in space, doesn't it?
It does. This is the least deep film we have ever covered. On average, taking into account everything that happens on the land, under the water, in space. This film ends up being 13,500 feet up in the air. I've had to adjust my graph for the minute we spent at the end in space. Even looking at, I feel like it's roughly at like satellite height, probably below satellite height. I've got this thing at 160 kilometers up in the air.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious, dude.
And 16.6% blue. There's kind of a blue tinge to a few scenes, some stuff underwater, but not terribly blue.
Yeah, I honestly, I would have guessed under 20% blue. So
yeah, you'd have been right. Yeah, but yeah, up in space. Less deep than Cliffhanger, which is second place at less than half of the depth.
Well, now you got to find a film with sharks on a planet out in space.
Of the bloody Sharknado films does that, and we're never going to that. We're not doing like space sharks.
Okay, I'm just saying that'd be the only way to beat out Biollante.
Yeah, that's the only. Well, I mean, I mentioned we could do Star Trek 4. It's got the whale stuff in it. You could argue Voyage Home. A lot of that is on the Earth, on ground level, but the fact that there's extended portions in space means that it would blow us out of the water. But I don't know. I've seen that, so we'll see. Anyway, thank you, Nick, for joining me for this discussion and for introducing me to the world of pre-Emmerich Godzilla films. Where can the listeners find you? What have you got to plug?
You can find me over at Mixcloud.com. Rehack Radio is a program that I release every so often. It's just music, you know what I mean? I kind of put movies off to the side, talk about music, because I'm so busy being a guest on other people's podcasts about movies. I'm on very recent episodes of the Lambcast. Just go find those, and you'll see me waving at you, smiling at you. I just met up with Howard Kasner, and we discussed The Shining and Ty West's The Innkeepers. That was a really cool double feature and a really great conversation we had. Recently,
That's
myself
over on
and
Pop Art podcast?
Yes, sorry, it's over on Pop Art. Glad you said that. And recently I spoke to Mark Hoffmeyer over on Movies, Films, and Flicks. You guys know who Mark is. We talked about Jurassic Park 2. and had an absolute ball.
Yes, I was very sad I couldn't make it for that. So I was recording a different podcast at the same time.
You missed out. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I did not expect, because previously every time I've been on with him, it's been a top 5 or a discussion of, right. We talked about jump scenes, bathroom fight scenes, jet ski scenes, and this one we just focused on one movie, and it was really cool to just talk about that. And I mean, obviously, we try to find a way to where would the best spot for a jet ski action scene would be, and I think we nailed it. But it was a really fun time.
I'm trying to think. There's not a lot of water in the Lost World, because you got them arriving on the boat. So I mean, Jurassic Park 3 has more. There's like a whole parasailing thing at the start.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got when they arrive at the island, and you got the Vince Vaughn on the boat, and they call it the Cinco Muertes, the 5 deaths, and that bit always annoyed me because there's a map earlier in the film, and they're pointing to it, and the islands are labelled as the 5 deaths, the Cinco Muertes. So it's not some local name for it; it's what they're called.
Yeah. But it just sounds more exotic.
Yes, absolutely. You need to add that Vince Vaughn gravity. He's come up twice in this podcast. Yeah, to the delivery. Lost World, a film I love and hate in equal measures, for various reasons. I sent Mark some notes. I'm not sure that came up on the show.
He did.
Okay.
Before we even got started, he was like, "Hey, Jay's got notes." I'm like, "Great, let's hear them."
I wrote a whole article on it.
So you're discussed. Don't worry.
Outstanding. I'm looking forward to listening to that. Good. So you can hear my thoughts through somebody else's mouth over on Movies, Films, and Flicks, talking about The Lost World. And you can hear me once a month over on the aforementioned Lambcast, hosting Lampity, the movie trivia Jeopardy-inspired game show, which you mentioned Howard Kazner. He's on this month for our Oscar special, which isn't up yet, but will be up soon. And I mentioned it last week. My buddy Rob from Movie Rob and Movie Rob Minute, he's just started a new minute-by-minute podcast looking at planes, trains, and automobiles 1 minute at a time. I was honoured to be the first guest on that, covering the first week of minutes, first 5 minutes.
Nice.
All of which are up now, so you can listen to Rob and I talking about a foot chase with Kevin Bacon through the streets of New York, past many, many, many places of interest. That was a fun week of shows to record. You can occasionally read some of my writings over at lifeversusfilm.com. Find me on Twitter at LifeVSFilm. Find the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at DeepBlueSeaPod. Email us deepblueseapod@gmail.com. Find all of Mark's stuff over at moviesfilmsandflicks.com. And come back next week for another one of those episodes that Mark and I recorded a couple of years ago for his podcast, Movies, Films, and Flicks. We're doing re-releases of those. This is on Lake Placid. Alligator film, and which not very good. Spoiler alert: Lake Placid, not a great film. It's short, but not short enough. Hear more about that next week on this show. But as for today, as for Godzilla vs. Biollante, thank you to my guest Nick Rehack.
Thank you so much for having me, Jay.
I've been Jake Willett, and I'll Deep Blue see you next week.